Hello and welcome to this video. Today we are going to see the most aggressive opening from black against one e4. This opening is the Sicilian Dragon and is loved by all players. Players starting from beginner level to even elite players love this opening very much because of its aggressive nature and many attacking positions. So at the end of this video, you will be knowing all the themes, ideas and traps with which we can defeat or get a very good position against white in this opening. So make sure to watch this video till the end because this is going to be a big video but very informative in nature. You will get the timestamps in the description. Also you can hover and see all the timestamps of all variations in the video right here. So yes, to start this opening, white plays 1e4 and we play c5, the Sicilian defense. The idea of c5 of course is to control the center but with the flank pawn so as to maintain our center pawns in the center. Here white can respond with various ideas. Let's say white goes c3, that is the alapin. White can go knight to c3, knight to f3, d4, b4. These all are the ideas, that is the alapin, close Sicilian, wing gambit, the Smith-Morra gambit and of course the main line. But in 99% of the games you will see knight to f3 being played because this is the very standard and the best line to play against the Sicilian. Here we play the move d6, white goes d4, c takes d4 and knight takes d4. Here you can see that white has a very good center right here. The idea of giving white the entire center in the Sicilian Dragon is the idea of going g6, putting our bishop on g7 and attacking the center from the flank. So here we simply respond with the move knight to f6, attacking the pawn, knight c3 and g6. So here white can play 3 to 4 main moves. One is f3, bishop to e3, bishop to e2 and f4. To start with, we'll see what happens if white goes bishop to e3, that is the Yugoslav attack. Here we simply go bishop to g7, posting our bishop in its home so as to see the entire board from the g7 square. White here plays the move f3 so that the knight cannot come to the g4 square so as to trade this bishop. So to come outside all the notations and everything, here we are going to take 2 minutes to talk about the Sicilian Dragon. The main points of the Sicilian Dragon are that your g7's bishop, that is the dark square bishop, is the key point in the entire position. It is the essence of the position. So first and foremost is you have to safeguard it and never ever exchange it with any other piece. If white forces to exchange it like queen to d2 and bishop to h6 that you will see in many variations, then of course you have to exchange it. But you should not go somewhere like you move this knight and then exchange it with this knight because that was a central knight and so on. So you should never exchange the bishop, but what you should do, if you can, then you should take out this bishop, that is the e3 bishop, out of the board and trade it with this knight. So f3, what does it do? It prevents to go here so as to take out this. So let's say here if white goes to the move queen to d2, then yes, knight to g4 and black has a small edge. Yes, therefore here white plays the move f3. Now you might be wondering, when we played bishop to g7 right now, why cannot we go knight to g5 straight away? We cannot come to g4 with a knight because it will be a blunder since white can simply play the move bishop to b5 check. If we defend with our bishop like bishop to d7, then this knight will hang because it is pinned to the king, and similarly if knight comes here, once again we pick up this knight and white is going a piece up. If black comes knight to c6, then knight takes knight, pawn takes, bishop takes, and now we are under a deadly double attack and our rook is going to be lost. Therefore for these all reasons, here knight to g4 is not a very good move but it is a blunder. So therefore we first play bishop to g7. Now if white goes some move, let's say any other move, then we can go knight to g4 because now whenever he gives a check, we can simply move our king to f8 and that will be good for black. So that's why here white plays f3 and now we continue with the variation and we castle. Queen comes to d2, we play knight to c6 and now is a turn for white to think about 3 main moves. Here white can play castles, bishop to c4, or the very aggressive g4. In most of your games, you will be seeing castle, which is not a very good move because we can strike in the center with the move d5. You will be thinking that this is not a good move because after takes, knight takes c6, pawn takes c6, you can see there are 1, 2 and 3 attackers, whereas there are only 1 and 2 defenders. So of course white is winning a pawn. But that's not the case because knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes. Here we play the stunning little move, that is queen coming to c7. Yes, we give up our rook because if queen takes the rook, then bishop to f5 and this c2 square is going to be harassed, king is going to be checkmated, whereas the queen is also attacked. So the queen will have to give up itself. Queen takes rook, king takes f8, and now you can see that we have one queen for 2 rooks and one single pawn right here. So 9 points for 11 points. You might be thinking that my math is very bad, but that's not the case because here logically we'll see these 2 bishops are monsters on these 2 diagonals. The queen is in front of the king, and here you can see there is only move, that is rook to d2, that is safe for white, because let's say bishop comes to d3 to save white, then we are simply winning it by queen to e5. We are attacking this bishop, this b2 square is hanging, and if white takes, then we take with a check, king comes to b1, and of course we won't take here because I think there might be many who have missed this back rank. But firstly we'll go queen to b6, defending this, attacking the c2 square, attacking the bishop. White has to defend its king, and then we pick up this, and there is no back rank right here, and we are doing very good materially, and you are of course going to win from here. Moving behind, therefore here you can see bishop can't take it, and the next great move, or let's say good move that white can play is king to d2. Here we simply take this bishop. If pawn takes, then queen takes this. We are going to pick up this pawn, bishop is going to come inside and white is going to be harassed. So pawn can't take it, king takes, then check, king d2, and we grab this pawn. Now if rook comes here, we give checks, then also we can make space for a king. Also in the future, h5, put our king to h7, and we are doing very good. So therefore bishop to d3 is not a good idea by white right here. Another idea that white can try is c3 so as to defend its king. But yes, bishop takes c3 and white is gone because it can't take, as we simply checkmate the white king right here. The queen takes these 3 squares, bishop takes this file, and it's gone. If he does not take the bishop right here, then the next move we can try some discoveries like here. We can sacrifice our bishop, bring our queen outside, and white is going to be roasted and toasted. So therefore here in this point only a rook to d2 works, and now you can see that the position is close to equal, and I can say slightly better for black because the white's rook and the bishop are not yet active. We can start h5 or a5, or also start attacking the c2 b2 squares, and we can do many things because we are very active. So you can see why castles right here is not a great idea by white, and thus white started this new trend. You can say that here we do not castle and white plays bishop to c4 so that we cannot play d5 because it takes the d5 square. So now in this case what to do? We'll go bishop to d7, white castles, rook to c8, x-raying this bishop, bishop goes behind, and now we can simply take this knight. Bishop takes knight, and now we can play b5. I recommend this variation the most because we are going to start the attack instantly, and white does not have the time to roll his pawns on the king side. Here to see one pretty game that a grandmaster had played, Mamedov, in the, you can see right here in the title Tuesday. From this position Mamedov was black, and the game went on like this: a3, a5, knight to d5, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes bishop, queen takes bishop. Of course we exchange the bishop, that is going against one of the rules, but yes, this is because we are simply getting an attack. So b4, pawn takes, queen does not takes this because black can play rook to b8, bring the queen to b6 or a5, then other rook to c8, and there is a lot of pressure on the king. So white brings his other rook to e1, rook to e8, rook e3, queen to a5 piercing inside, king d2, rook c5 trying to develop on the c7 square. Also rook comes to e1, queen b6, king d1, rook to a8 coming from the a diagonal, or you can say a5, my bad. Queen comes to h4, bishop f5, rook takes, and now you can see black has so much initiative and so much development. White king is in the center, so black plays the move, stunning move, bishop takes c2 check. Here now white takes, rook to a1 check, king d2, rook takes d5, bishop to d3, and now calmly playing rook to a2. Here white cannot defend the pawn, so white goes queen to c4, takes, king c1, and the game is over because the queen is out of the board. King takes rook, rook takes queen, bishop takes, and now you can see we are getting the bishop as well. And after some moves, Mamindo got the rook as well, and he won the game from here. Here white resigned because if the king comes here, let's say like this, then check, king goes anywhere, we are getting the rook, and black is doing perfectly perfect. So this was one game that Mamido had played in this variation, where you can see that black is very superior in this position. Also a very interesting line which I think I forgot here, when bishop comes to c4, we have seen every line we are going bishop to d7, rook c8, this goes behind, and then we take and go b5. But when he castles, there is one line that white can play, that is d5, pawn takes, knight takes c6, b takes c6, and here white can play the move bishop to d4. So this is potentially exchanging our dragon bishop, and here computer or the engines will tell to exchange the bishop, but the more aggressive variation is to play e5. The bishop is attacked, bishop will of course come to c5 because it sees an attack here and it is getting a tempo, so why not? But here we can blow white's mind by playing the stunning move bishop to e6, giving up our rook. Here if white takes this rook, then after queen takes, black is going to win this game, believe it or not. Of course, computer is not showing a great advantage, it is minus 0 point something something, but you can see there are so many potential threats. Here white takes, then pawn takes, c takes d5, and the b8, you can see these two files are open for the rook, and if white is careless and plays some moves such as bishop to d3, then bishop to a6, and the queen is lost. So here king has to come to b1, but then we play rook to b8, and there are so many threats right here in the position. If white plays b3, we intercept by queen to a3, queen goes c1, then queen comes back to c5, keeping an option to come inside from these two squares, and next we are going to push this, and this bishop is going to get open, and in the future we can also try to sacrifice on the b3 square. If there is no attack coming, then we can start rolling a5, a4. So here 100% this is very good for black. So right here the bishop cannot take the rook, which is a very tricky move that we play. But here white has a defense, that is knight to e4. We go rook to e8, and then he starts rolling with h4. So yes, this is a drawish position. We go h5, and then in the future put our rook here, bring our queen here, and the game goes on, of course. So this was one line that is very interesting in the variation where white castles. So we considered both the variation when white castles, when white plays bishop to c4. But what if white goes directly for the attack by playing g4? So to counter this attack by white, we play the move bishop to e6. So this is a very cool looking move, because you might say that knight can take, we take, and now black has doubled pawns, and white can also potentially attack it by placing its bishop on c4. But no, you can see we can play queen to c8 and there cannot be any other attack on this pawn, and the main point, that is the positive point right here, we get an open file right here. The f3 square is going to be very weak, and in the future we can also try to play d5, and black is doing pretty good. So here knight does not take, but what if white starts with the move h4, the pawn storm? Then we play the move d5. This is a very strong move because let's say white ignores it and plays h5. Then we take on d4, bishop takes, pawn takes e4, pawn takes or knight takes. Then we can simply take it, and now you can see this bishop is hanging right here. So of course knight won't take. Here let's say pawn takes, then also we can sacrifice our knight right here. He takes, and then we can take this bishop with our queen, and we are doing tremendously good. So therefore here d5 cannot be neglected, and here white cannot move the pawns on the king side but has to respond to the d5 move. So let's say if white takes, then we can take with a knight. Now you can see that dragon bishop is unleashed. There are so many pressure on the center, and hence black is doing pretty good. Here if white does not take this knight, then this bishop is going to hang, and so let's say knight takes knight, and then we can simply take with the queen. There are 3 attackers here. In the next move, let's say knight takes the c6 square, then we can take queen takes c6. Next move, rook is going to come inside. These bishops are unleashed, both the bishops, and black is doing very good. So therefore g4 can be punished by playing bishop to e6, and if bishop to e6 is met by h4, something like h4, then you can play the move d5. So this was a glimpse about if white plays g4. So moving behind, here you can see we have covered castles, bishop to c4 and g4, which are all the main lines which are being played in the Sicilian Yugoslav attack by white. But what if white does not play the Yugoslav at all? White plays something like bishop to e2. Then here in these cases, if you do not want to remember so much thing, then you can do one thing. You can just remember all the moves in the Sicilian Yugoslav attack, and you can play all those moves because they are very solid. Just let's say here you have drawn, you can see your pawns are on the dragon position. Then you can put your bishop to g7, knight goes to c6, you can castle, then place your bishop to d7, bring the rook to c8, and be very solid in the game even though you do not know how to continue from this position. Moving behind, here there is also one variation, that is the Levenfish variation, which goes with f4. Here white lays a trap because bishop cannot go to g7 because of simpler move e5. If we take and play the move knight to g4, which is simply logical, attacking this pawn right here. Then after bishop to b5 check, there are many things coming from white, and it's a tremendous attack. Let's say we cannot defend this because this knight hangs. Similarly, knight cannot come inside to d7. If knight comes to c6, white can simply take this. We cannot take with the pawn since there will be a fork and we'll lose our rook. So we take the queen, knight takes, and we play the move a6, bishop to a4, bishop d7, and of course we are not losing much material, but white is doing very good in this position. So we do not want to come in this position. Also you can see here after bishop to b5 check, we cannot play king to f8 because of simple move knight to e6 check. Pawn takes, then of course white can also castle, we go behind, and this is a checkmate. Of course not a checkmate right here, but white wins a queen, and in the coming moves this knight is also hanging, it is pinned, so white will manage its way to victory. So in the Levenfish variation, when white plays the move f4, you never develop your bishop to g7 first. First you play the move knight to c6. Here after you play knight to c6, now e5 cannot be played. And when you have stopped the threat of e5, in the next move, let's say here white plays the move bishop to e3, then of course you can also go knight to g4 because now there is no check. But if he plays any other move, then after that you go bishop to g7 and then castle. So when white plays Levenfish variation, then you never go bishop to g7 right firstly. So you play knight to c6 calmly, defending the e5 square, and then you go bishop to g7, castles, bishop d7, rook c8, and go with all the main lines which you play. So this was all about the Sicilian. We saw many main lines and how to react against some of the openings that white plays very often against the Sicilian Dragon, and I guarantee you this will help you tremendously if you follow all the things said in this video. If you like this video, then do go to the comment section, pour out your views about the video, about the openings, how the opening has fared you in your games, and many more things. Do not forget to hit the like button because that will spread this video to more viewers and many of them will get information about this opening and the knowledge will spread all around. Also, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you get notified for all other such opening and many interesting videos based on chess. So yes, this was for today, the Sicilian Dragon variation. Meet you in the next video. Till then, stay safe, play chess and keep learning. Bye bye.